Hi, and thanks for logging on to the Daily DVAR Halacha. And here's a brand new halacha for you, and it's for Friday, the 23rd day of January. Here we go. Today we're going to be talking about how sometimes something gets a little, let's just say, smushed, and you want to just fix it up a little bit, and whether or not that's considered allowed on Shabbos. On Shabbos we have something called makeh b'patish. That means like putting the final hammer blow onto something, just finally fixing something, and you're not allowed to do that on Shabbos. So, for example, here's something that you would not be allowed to do. If the side piece of your glasses fell off and the screw came totally out and the glasses were unwearable, and putting the screw back in made the glasses totally wearable, that would be putting the final touch on those glasses, and you would not be allowed to do that. But now I'm going to give you a string of examples where what you're doing is considered just restoring the thing to the way it was, and the out-of-shapedness that it got was just considered kind of like almost in the norm of what happens to this thing, and therefore you're allowed to redo these, and they're not called makeh b'patish. This will all make much more sense as soon as you start hearing the examples. Here they are. If you wear a big black hat, or a little one, and someone, one of the kids, sat on the hat, and the hat's a little smushed. So is punching the hat back into shape on Shabbos allowed? The answer is yes, because that's the regular forming and unforming of a hat. They're just delicate, and sometimes that little punch or little pinch or something disappears, and you just got to give it a little squeeze and it comes back. That's the normal in and out of the hat, and that's not considered makeh b'patish or refixing it. If you wanted to steam the hat on Shabbos with some steam coming out of your kettle somehow, you wouldn't be allowed to do that, because that would be considered like the wrinkle was really stubborn that was in the hat and you were steaming it out. Well, that would be much closer to what makeh b'patish is, and that you should not do with your hat on Shabbos. If a shoelace just kind of slid out of the shoe and you want to just slide it back in, that would be considered like the hat, and you're allowed to redo that. Putting a brand new shoelace into a shoe on Shabbos is a little closer to what you shouldn't do, but just having the regular shoelace that slipped out and sliding it back in, that would be considered allowed. If a lady shaitel just got a little bit of wind and she just wants to take a few hairs and move them around so it's like resettled, that's okay, because it's like that smashed hat that just got reshuffled, into the way it's supposed to be. But if that shaitel was so terribly windblown that you wouldn't wear it, and you're doing a massive fix to make it wearable again, then that's something that you would not be allowed to do on Shabbos. Interestingly, you know how the plastic bottles that we pour soda out of or drinks, they can sometimes get squished, and somebody at the table might want to just give it a squeeze to go back into its regular shape. That's allowed, because those squish and unsquishes of the plastic bottle are not considered like totally messed up or totally fixed up. It's just the normal way of it, so you're allowed to do that. If you had silver foil that got a little crumpled and you want to just flatten it out, not back to perfect, but you just want to flatten it out so that you could put away a piece of potato kugel in it or something, so that would be allowed. All because of this same principle, that it's not makeh b'patish. This is just the thing coming a little bit out of its shape and then a little bit back into its shape, which is allowed. And last example of this would be a pendant that just slid off of its chain on a necklace, which is not a big deal, and it just slid off and could be slid right back on. That would not be considered makeh b'patish, or the final hammer blow on fixing that thing, because everyone knows that's the normal thing of a pendant, that it just sometimes when you put it down in a certain way it could slide off and you just slide it back in. And all those kinds of things are allowed on Shabbos. Thanks for logging on, and log on again after Shabbos for more. Bye-bye.